in our own personal lives. And this is why the Prophet told the people, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, whoever does not make dua to Allah, Allah becomes angry with him. Because there's not a single person here except that he or she is in massive need. And you can't do anything without Allah Ta'ala allowing you. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. And yet, we don't make dua like we should and like we could. So I want to say that to everybody sitting in this masjid right now. If you're a real Muslim, you really love Allah. I'm looking at people in the masjid. I know they were dealing with health issues recently. They're sitting in my face right now. The power of dua. Now, our community right now, the Muslims, on a world level, our community is being kicked around like a soccer ball right now. Like that guy Usamah kicked the cat. And the whole dunya jumped up and down about a cat being kicked. And I don't condone or endorse kicking any animal or anything like that. But I have a bigger problem with kicking and killing human beings. The weak and the downtrodden and the oppressed. I have a bigger problem with that than I do with people kicking cats and animals. Our ummah right now is in dire need of our dua. When I came to give today's khutbah, I was in conflict with myself. What do I talk about? So many things to talk about. So many things to talk about. I only have 15 minutes, 10, 11 minutes. The power of dua. Listen, Ummatul Islam, with world events unfolding in front of us as they are, we have to remember that the Prophet of Islam, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, has left us with everything we need to know to navigate through this stuff. And as I mentioned many times from this minbar, he called the time that we're living in the years of deceit. You and I are living in the years of deceit. Sanawat, khadda'at. People are lying. And one of the biggest liars in the world today as an ummah, we can't afford to sleep on this, is the media, especially the Western media. Kadhabun. If you are a person that takes news from the Western media, you know, BBC and all that stuff. If you take that stuff just like that without having any Islamic filters, you gotta have filters. So anytime I read news, anytime I meet someone, anytime I take a position, Al-Islam, I want the world to know, white, black, America, let the world know. I believe as I exist here, I'm gonna die one day. When I listen to you, and her, and them, and him, and the media, and whoever, I have to judge that with the deen. I'm not judging that by what my parents said. I'm not judging that by what African Americans said. I'm not judging that by being an American citizen or a British citizen. I'm going to judge everything and everybody by the deen of Islam. And I like and hate based upon that. Put me under the jail. Put me under the prison. Because that's what I have to do if I'm a Muslim. And then after Al-Islam being my main filter, I'm an African American. I'm a black man next. I'm going to look at everything according to that after. But Al-Islam is going to be first. Al-Islam is going to be first. So as it relates to what's going on, I'm here just to ask a question. I'm really not here to even give a khutbah, but I want to speak on behalf of our community to those people who are not Muslims who are listening to us and looking at our khutbah right now. You want to know how we feel. So I want to just speak on behalf of our community and ask just a few simple, easy questions. I want to remind you, brothers, of a few years ago, 2019, it was on a day like today in New Zealand when the white supremacist Christian racists, and his ethos was Christianity, on a Friday, the day that people who are not on his religion come together for congregation, the Muslims, he went to a masjid, could have been this masjid, and he opened fire on innocent human beings and committed a terroristic act on people in the name of Christianity and white supremacy. And then after killing those people, he went to the next masjid and killed more people, bringing it to a total of 51 people murdered in cold blood on a day of worshiping. It's not like going to Ukraine and fighting the Russians and you know you're fighting someone. They came like you're looking at me, and someone came in and started blasting them. And then he went to the second place and killed more. 51 murdered, 40 injured, 90 people over some racist stuff. And the media described that kid after putting his picture on the front page here in this country. That was in New Zealand. Here in this country, they put a baby picture of him when he was a sweet, adorable, cute-looking baby boy. And he had his blonde hair was flowing all over the place, and he had these blue eyes looking right into the camera. And as a child, it was a nice picture for all sense and purposes. But it was so inappropriate to put that picture in that paper in light of what that man did. But why is that allowed? Because the people whose blood was spilled in the balance, it belonged to people like you and me, Muslims and people of color. So why do we get shocked when we continue to see the racism in the media and the racism in the foreign policy and the racism of the domestic policy of American Western countries? Why are we shocked? When are we going to wake up and practice our religion? Because there are things we can do about it that are within the law. But walking around as if we're oblivious to the reality of the racist societies we live in. I'll give you another example. In America, a kid, young boy, his name was Roof, something Roof, R-O-O-F. This guy went into an African-American church on Sunday. He's a white, supremacist Christian, believing in Christianity and the cross. He went into an African-American church while they were worshiping, and he opened fire on them and killed 9 of them. Some of whom were senior citizens, some of them were women, killed them in cold blood. That's racism. As Muslims, we're not going to condemn Christianity. We're not going to condemn all white people as they do us. But we're on a higher level and standard. But you know what really freaked me out about him? Like the first guy. He complained to those people who arrested him and he said, I'm hungry. I didn't eat today. When I decided to kill these people, I didn't eat. I was busy. So you know what they did? They took him to Burger King and gave him a burger and French fries. Now, I've been arrested by the police before. And after them beating me up and I told them, hey, I'm hurt, I got to go to the hospital. That cop turned around and tried to knock my teeth out of my mouth. And that's because they look at us differently. And some of you look at me different than how you look at yourself because you're a little lighter complexion than me. And this is not about really racism, but it's about a racism. These people don't look at us any differently. You're a Muslim, you're a person of color, we have problems. All people like that? No. No, all Westerners, white people? No. There are some good people in the way they understand. And they themselves are against this. But as a community, my question is, until when? Until when? We're going to keep being surprised. So my question, first of all, is, since becoming a Muslim in 1986, I've been looking at the situation with my brothers from Palestine. Reading about that situation and reading about what happened to them, a foreign force came and took their land. And those people were subdued and they're being oppressed. And unlike Russia, when Russia invades Ukraine, America's not going to do anything, because when a superpower or a bully or someone got power, they're going to say nothing. But if it was a weak person, you'll see how quick they move on a weakling. And this is not our religion. I'm going to move for the one who is weak, and when the strong person, I got nothing to say. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his biggest battle was the battle of Tabuk. It was a difficult battle. It was hot. It was far away. And you know why it was happening? Because he heard that the Byzantines and the Romans were coming to get the Muslims. He said, no, you're not. I'm coming to meet you at the door. And he went to meet him at the door. And he didn't care their numbers. He didn't care his superpower. But back to the issue. My question is, why is it that the Ukrainians have a right to defend themselves? And it's heroic when they do it. But Palestinians don't have that right. Kashmiris don't have that right. Other Muslims who are in that situation, only us, we don't have that right. Why is it that when people who come from those countries, Palestine, or they come from Kashmir, or they're the brothers in religion to those people, why is it when one of us wants to go and help them, we don't want to help terrorism? We don't want to kill innocent people. We want to save the lands of Al-Islam. We want to take care of our Masjid Al-Aqsa. That's what we want to do. Why is it when we decide to do that, we're terrorists? And it's not heroic. But when a British person or anybody from France or Belgium, when they want to go over here, this is my question to those people looking at our community. Why is it when one of them wants to go, he's a hero? He has absolutely no experience in war. None. And he's also a convicted felon. But he's going and they call him a hero. But when we want to do something like that, following the law, why is it okay for them and it's not okay for us? So those are questions I want to ask today. And another thing is, as I stand up here, I think everybody in this community knows, in this masjid, we're against extremism. In this masjid. But in being against extremism, why is it that you always want us to talk down on the Muslims and extremism that is in our midst, but you don't do it? And when we call you out on it now, I could be stripped of my citizenship. I can travel somewhere and come back and not be allowed in because of something that I say. It's a double standard. But to get up here and just scream out, it's a double standard, it's not right. To get up here and just to say that, and those words go in one ear and out the other ear, what's the benefit of that? Just raising the consciousness? No. I'm saying to everybody who's out here, the power of dua. Where's the dua? Where's the dua? Do we wait until Ramadan is coming, and then the 27th night of Ramadan at that, and then the Imam does his thing, and then we do our thing, and we shift into gear that same night again in the tahajjud? Is that what we're waiting for? Is that what we're waiting for? Not just this issue, because this issue is a mess. On the side of the Russians, there are Muslims fighting for Russia. On the side of the Ukrainians, there are Muslims fighting for the Ukrainians. Putin said he was going there to deal with the neo-Nazis. There is massive racism in the Ukraine. Massive racism in Russia. So as a Muslim, I have to have filters. How do I look at this situation? Well, I know one thing. The world that we're living in right now, the world that we've known growing up, Yawm al-Qiyamah is very close. When is it going to happen? I don't know. But one thing I have no doubt about from the statement of the Prophet of Islam, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, is that the terrain is being prepared for the Dajjal al-Kadhab. That when he comes out, you and I will find it difficult to differentiate between the truth and falsehood. You and I. I'm not talking about the one who's not praying. I'm not talking about the one who doesn't come to Salatul Jummah. The time is being prepared for that. I saw on social media, Christian lady was calling on God in Spanish. She kept saying Dios, Dios. Seemed like she just gave birth to the baby. The baby had his face in the mother's chest right here, as if the brother of the baby was dead. And she was making dua, Dios, Dios, crying. It looked real. And the baby came to life, started crying. I said, well, for me, I don't know. I don't believe all that stuff like that. It could have been real, But I know one thing. Today, don't believe what you see and what you hear. Don't believe it from people. And that's because we're living in a time of sanawat khadda'at. So my question to the world as it relates to Muslims. If a person were to leave the UK and he were to blow himself up protecting his family or something like that, he has nothing but to blow himself up. Why is he considered to be a terrorist and an extremist and backwards, mutkhalif? But when the white man from the Ukraine army, he just wanted to delay the Russians. They didn't even come yet. But he said, I'm going to blow this bridge up because that's all I can do. And you see him in his last moments. And he blew himself up. And it's described as being heroic. It's a hero now. But the Muslim has nothing at his disposal. Nothing. And he puts himself in harm's way for his wife, for his daughter, for his house, for his land, for his religion. But he's described as being a monster. Ummah al-Islam, we have too many resources and we have too many abilities out here in this community for us to continue to be of the people who just talk the talk. We had a lot of work to do. If we don't start our own institutions and if we don't start putting aside these frivolous issues, many of which have nothing to do with the price of peanuts, then it's going to continue business as usual. In Dunstable there in Bedford, some teacher in the classroom had the nerve and the audacity to put Usamah bin Laden's picture as the picture of the Nabi of Islam sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Many of the parents didn't want to do anything about it. Parents like you and me, I have nothing to do. I have nothing to do except complain. When the messenger says, hey guys, give some money. We're trying to do this. One of the things we want to do is we want to represent in the circles of the politicians. That doesn't mean I'm ready to dive into politics. But we want to be able to say to those people, look, we're a formidable community, and this is how we feel about this and that. Got to listen to us. Do you think that anybody who is a politician in this country would dare describe a Jewish lady in a way that's racist or unacceptable in terms of the way he or she dresses? No. Leave that to the Muslim. Leave that for the Muslim. Your women look like letter boxes. Who does that? Who does that? It's the person who knows that he has immunity from any pushback from our community. So the time has come, Ummah al-Islam. I hope you people understand what I'm saying. I'm not here to spew out hot air. I'm here to say, stop being surprised. I grew up on this stuff. People used to say, why are you always talking about Black Lives Matter? Because this is what we grew up on. And then in our community, we have it too. So I have to make that clear. When I say beware of the media, beware of the Arab media, African media, Pakistani, Asian, all of the media, kadhabun. And they're part of the establishment that is used, that media, just to keep people not thinking, keeping people dumb, keeping people chasing balls. I mean literal balls, cricket balls, basketball, football, soccer balls. Have us chasing stars who are from the ignorant and the bad people. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم ونسأل الله تعالى التوفيق والسداد.